everybody, it's Jimmy King with WrestleLaunch, and it is your Monday morning AEW Dynasty review. That's right. I watched Dynasty last night, so you didn't have to buy and pay for it, because I did. We had a crazy show. Honestly, when it came down to it, I'm jumping right into it because there's so much to cover. I'm not going to do my usual preamble, but one thing I want to point out is that I came into the 0 hour a little bit late. I want to remind everybody, I am a dad. And on top of being a dad, I have dad things to do, so I wasn't able to sit down and actually watch the 0 hour as much as I would have liked to because I had to do dad things as well as having to do day job things. So I missed Alex Windsor beating Marina Shafir, so I didn't actually get to watch that match, so I will actually be going and watching that afterward. Jen, hold on. Okay. Guys, I forgot Camille's back. So I know that she won. I saw some clips, but I haven't actually sat down to watch the match. However, the first match that I actually did get to watch was Jack Perry versus Mark Davis for the National Championship. Mark Davis, I love this guy. Ever since Kyle Fletcher, ever since he originally got injured, that was one of the first questions that I had when Kyle Fletcher started doing his Proto-Star gimmick. What's going to happen to Mark Davis? I personally am a huge fan of Aussie Open. I've enjoyed what they've done, and the fact that in the last couple of years, they have made use of all of the time that they have. A lot of people don't seem to see that they came in originally on Dark. And now Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis are both prominently featured, not just on one show, but all the shows that they have. AEW Collision, Dynasty being their pay-per-views, so pay-per-views, Dynamite, stuff of that nature. Mark Davis is there. He is a good face. And then obviously when they do go to do their Australian shows, that is another huge face to have because they've got Kyle Fletcher. They've got people like Buddy Matthews and a few others that can come through, and they actually are able to do this gig. They are able to do this job very effectively, and that is the reason why I love professional wrestling. We move on, though. The match itself is actually really good. Mark shows his weight off. Jack shows why he has the speed to be the national champion. He is the name that he has been for so long. A lot of people that don't like Jack Perry because of his position and because of the people that he associates with, they cannot deny his in-ring talent. The kid can go. For being an actor's son, that's right, if you were not aware of the fact that Jack Perry is Luke Perry's son, he can go. Perry even takes a really nasty bump on the ring apron. Like, it's not even your typical ribcage bump like you normally would take on the ring apron. He took that thing like I've never seen anyone take before. But right after that, he shows his quickness and his resilience. He hits a powerbomb DDT reversal. And on top of that, he hits this like Hurricane Rana thing that does get the wrap up for the win. So Mark Davis does get beat, but it's not like a really bad beating. Like, it's kind of one of those quick ones. And now personally, that is a fan of mine. I enjoy those type of finishes because it does not make both people look weak. That is something that a lot of people have been conditioned to expect in professional wrestling, where one person has to look weak and the other person has to look strong. Both people can look strong with one person losing. And you've seen it right there. The other match that we had on the 0 hour is Divine Dominion versus Hyon and Maya World for the Women's AEW World Tag Team Championships. And honestly, I don't know a lot about Maya World or Hyan. I'm learning more as I go. I also don't know a crazy amount about Lena Cross, but she impresses the hell out of me. This woman can go. When you have Megan Bayne and Lena Cross standing side by side, one is 6 foot, one is 5'11". They are imposing wrestlers, period. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. They are imposing wrestlers, period. If you have two people 6 foot standing in front of you and you're not 6 foot, that's going to be imposing. That is going to scare you. I can't blame people for being scared. This still was a great match. These two honestly work very well together. When it comes down to it, Megan Bayne worked extremely well with Penelope Ford because when you have two people in that realm, Penelope Ford is the very limber one. She moves around very quickly. She is a submission expert. And you have Megan Bayne, who is the powerhouse, who is the one that will come through and actually enforce what's going on in the ring. But now you don't have that dynamic. You have Lena Cross and Megan Bayne. But Lena does give you that little bit that Penelope Ford would give you if she were in the ring. Lena is lean. It's kind of an interesting name for her. Because of how much she is able to push her legs up or because of how flexible she is, she does give herself a little bit better of a bump than Penelope Ford. Also because of the fact that she's quite a bit taller, so she's got more leg and more arm. I'm telling you right now, if you think that the same amount of force can be applied by somebody with arms 5.5 foot long or so, arm span, versus somebody who does not, You definitely have never seen exactly how somebody can take their arm, put it underneath your chin, and knock you out with it. I have. But these two teams, they do go back and forth very well. High End and Maya World are good together. The commentary team does a good job about explaining how long they've been working together. I can't remember who they said was the veteran of the group, but that one, at that moment that they mentioned, that actually was doing something pretty cool. So I'm going to try to see if I can't find that in post. If not, then I just suck. And it means you guys are going to have to watch it and let me know in the comments. I will tell you right now, the 0 hour was 100% free. So you can go watch that. You don't have to pay for Dynasty to be able to watch that. At one point in time, Maya World delivers a crazy moonsault. It was more missile moonsault than arcing moonsault. You know how like usually they jump into the air and it's this big arcing jump? No, she just straight back into him. So personally, that was a good spot for me. I like that because a lot of people don't do those moonsaults like that. That was a very like attacking moonsault the way she did it. I thought it was cool. Divine Dominion do get the win here. High End and Maya World, they definitely showed people why they do belong in AEW. They're actually fantastic wrestlers. One of them's been in the business for a good amount of time. They understand what they're doing. And like I said before in my other reviews, these ladies were given an opportunity because Nixon Newell and her partner thought that they were not getting a proper rub. So they got the rub, and they have fucking run with it. So good on them. Like the last couple of pay-per-views, this pay-per-view actually starts with the lead-in video and then a match, which is going to be the Young Bucks versus Takeshita and Okada. These two teams, honestly, all four of these guys know each other really well. Takeshita and Okada have known each other for a long time. Obviously, the Bucks and Okada have known each other for a long time. The Bucks and Takeshita know each other really well. I don't know how long they've known each other, but they definitely know each other extremely well. At one point, Okada goes for a cutter, I believe it was, and Nick does his fake out. And this is a big element and a big story throughout the match is how well everybody knows each other. There's multiple times where Okada does something and the Bucks will get faked out, and then the Bucks will do something, and Okada will get faked out. And at one point in time, even Okada puts on the Young Bucks ring gear and gets up on the ring apron to try to get, I think it's Nick, to tag him in, and it's a whole moment. There's even that moment, you know, like where the Young Bucks do that weird little thing where the one does a splits over the rope and they like do a dive. Okada smashes his face into the brother's ass. That was pretty funny. I can't deny that it was. They go for a little while longer until we end up having a standoff between Okada and Takeshita where they are in the middle of the ring. They've been fighting. They duke it out, and they've got Matt and Nick on the ground, and they bump into each other, and it's that typical, they turn around to start fighting. And instead of not fighting, Okada nails him. And so Okada and Takeshita start going crazy for it, and then end up, the Bucks finally do get back into the ring, and they end up start pushing things around. The Bucks get their melter driver. Takeshita grabs, I believe it's Nick's leg, and then lets them go. And walks up the ring apron, or walks up the ring ramp as they hit the melter driver. 1, 2, 3. The Bucks get the win. And obviously, Takeshita has walked away from Okada, and Don Callis is not happy. There's even a part in the match where Don Callis gets involved, and you get to see his pink armband that he is wearing that has Kyle Fletcher's initials on it because he is Kyle Fletcher strong. Honestly, I'm going to get on board with that because I want to see Kyle Fletcher get back and healthy because that dude can go. It sucks that he's injured. Moving on from that, we have Jericho and Ricochet. I know there are a lot of people out there that are not a fan of Jericho, but he is looking in the best shape that he has been in years. He controls the early pace. He even goes and does his little camera spot that he likes to do. Jericho really just kind of going for some of those nostalgia runs. He's getting into a pose-off that they did. They eventually do get into things. Jericho hits a drop-kick reversal from the corner that looked really, really good. He got really decent height on that. That was one thing that, as a kid, I enjoyed about Jericho was his drop-kicks were amazing. He could get some height. They do a spot where Jericho and Ricochet has him in a headlock. Jericho drapes his hair over Ricochet's face, and they kind of do one of these things because, you know, the whole bald thing. That one made me chuckle quite a bit because you could even see that, like, Ricochet was, like, trying really hard to get his face to be framed by the picture, or the hair for the picture. Ricochet goes for a shooting star press that Jericho counters into a code breaker, and that one, I can't say that it was bad. That was really good. Very well timed. Very, very, very well timed. That one could have gone really, really wrong, especially when you've got 55-year-old Chris Jericho and I believe 32, year old Ricochet. Point is, there's a good 20 years difference or so between them, and Jericho still managed with that timing to get there. Now, again, I know a lot of people don't like Jericho, but the fact that he can still go, he really can, even at 55. Yes, he has missed a step. Most people are going to tell you that at that age they're going to miss a step. Everyone's missed a step. Me at 37 has missed a step compared to me at 17. But the point is, he can still go to his ability, and that is where people need to give that grace where it's due. Because even though he is 55, and even though he is not the way he used to be, he has found a way to be that way. So that is where we got to just give them that benefit, right? Ricochet gets caught in the walls of Jericho, and Toa Leona, I believe, gets involved and pulls Ricochet to the ropes. Jericho, with a baseball slide, ends up hitting Ricochet into Toa Leona, and then he, of course, that's where he gets his receipt. They end up jumping into that, and they get a shooting star press from Ricochet, and then the Spirit Gun almost right after that. He goes for the pin, but before he does go for the pin, Bishop and Toa try to tell him that he should hit Jericho with Lion Salt, which he does, and wins the match with that. This one, honestly, perfect. Jericho does not need the win here. Jericho put over the talent, and that's exactly what he needed to do right there. As long as Jericho continues to be self-aware Jericho, I think that we're going to be in great shape. Moving on, we have Andrade and Darby next. This match, good. They start the match off with chain wrestling, and they just mat and chain all over the place. At one point in time, Andrade goes for his Tranquilo rope spot, and Darby just goes right through him. It was great to see. This match goes off. Darby does actually get to show off a lot of his mat and wrestling technique, a lot of his ability in this match. Andrade really took him to his paces. The way that the match goes, of course, where Andrade gets into his usual spot where he's got the lady at ringside, he takes his pants off at one point in time. He does get rolled up. Darby does his little pin move that he does with the feet. And after the match, instead of being upset like a lot of people expected, Andrade actually shakes Darby's hand. So some mutual respect there. Personally, I'm a fan. I like that. Even though you can be a heel and still show a little bit of respect, because that is where you start your arc back to face. So I like that a lot. The next match is Cage and Cope versus FTR. These four are honestly taking it to each other. Some of the best parts of this match are how well these guys know each other. They can go and they can go and they can go. Cope and Cage have maybe only lost a few steps in the last couple of years, especially teaming together for the first time, technically the second time, in as many years as most people have been in school. So when it comes to it, FTR work well with these guys. They know them well because of how well they know each other, and the fact that FTR is also a part of the reason why Cope is even able to be back in ring shape. This match goes off, and it does really well. Of course, there's some fuckery. Stokely gets involved, and at one point in time, you can even see it, and I think I have a GIF here for you guys. You can see Cope get hit with the ring belt, or with the championship belt, and as he gets hit with the championship belt and he stands up, you can literally see the bead of blood immediately start. So that was not a gig job. That was 100% real. So that was good. FTR do get the win here, which I'm personally surprised by. I was not expecting FTR to get the win there, so I'm kind of curious what their plans are from that. I'm always a fan when booking is not the way that I expected, because I like to be surprised. I do. Having been in the business as long as I have, whether it's been having been a wrestler or just been around the business, paying attention, doing my research to do my own thing for my own shows, a lot of this stuff, it's hard to surprise me. So they surprised me with FTR getting the win here because of what they obviously are going to be doing here soon. So I'm looking forward to that. I really am interested to see what their plans are. I want to see Cope and Cage continue to do good things. I like what they're doing here. Their little mix is different. Moving on from there, we have the TNT Gauntlet match. Now, this is not a battle royal. The Gauntlet match in AEW is simple. 2 people start, and everybody comes in at random intervals, and the first pinfall is the winner. Straight up. There's no eliminations. There's no over-the-top rope. It's you come in, and you get a pin, you get a win. The match starts off with Ciampa and Rush, which obviously between Dynamite and Collision, there were matches that were establishing the first and second people coming out. And it is a war to absolutely begin with. Rush to begin, they go back and forth, they exchange blows like they normally do to start off the match to really build things up. And Rush has already got a scratch on his chest, and that usually tells me that they're going hard. As a wrestler, you know how to hit, and if your nails are usually trimmed, most of them are, and you still manage to cut somebody with a scratch, you're doing something. Bandito comes out at number 3 and goes right after Rush with a Cannonball Senton a la Brody King, since Brody is still out right now. And we get a frog splash from Eddie Guerrero, just the little thing. He literally did those back to back. He get the Cannonball Senton, and then when Rush rolls out, he hits him with the frog splash, and he goes for the pin, does not get it. We see Mike Bailey coming out at number 4, El Clone number 5, Pac at 6, Daniel Garcia at 7, Anthony Bowens at 8, number 9 is Kevin Knight, and number 10 is Wheeler Yuta, and we end up seeing a complete clusterfuck. We have somebody going over the top rope, and like I said, at one point in time, there was a crazy party spot that, like I said, all these would just drive Cornette insane. It makes me chuckle, but there's a crazy party spot where somebody's doing a suplex, somebody jumps over the rope, and then somebody else gets suplexed because Ciampa does a suplex to Kevin Knight to the outside of the ring. All hell broke loose in that match, but Kevin Knight, surprisingly, is the one that comes away with the TNT Championship after jumps off the top rope and does his little UFO splash thing that he does, because Daniel Garcia currently has his tag team partner, Speed Bailey, caught up in the Dragon Slayer, pulled all the way back. He does the move. He hits Daniel Garcia. He gets the pin. All the while, Speedball doing this, looking around, and you can kind of see there's some dissension there. I've been kind of waiting for them to split these guys up a little bit, and this is probably one of the easiest ways that they're going to do it because you can see that Speedball has some looks towards him on this. Great match. Good way to make up for whatever the hell they had going on to begin with, because obviously with Kyle Fletcher getting injured, it was a little bit different than, something, but this is a great thing to do. Kevin Knight is a fantastic wrestler. This dude can go, and being a champion is going to be even better for him. So I look forward to see what they plan. I love when they do make these pivots and it actually works, so let's see what they end up doing. We move on from that. It's Tekla and Jamie Hayter. My God. Jamie goes right after her. She, at one point in time, she wasn't even trying to do the intros. She's trying to just start this match because she wants Tekla. She comes in with a big boot to literally start things off. They go back and forth a lot. They do get some liberties at some point in time. I believe it's Stephon Smith is the referee. He lets them go up on the ramp, and there's a lot of activity out there. It does get to a point where there is some questions, like how come they haven't been timed, or they haven't been counted out or anything like that. But obviously the referee is wanting them to have a finish, and that's one thing with AEW. A lot of people don't like DQ finishes. A lot of people don't like people getting liberties in matches that are not DQ. I know Sponge is somebody who doesn't like that. Personally, though, when it comes to it, I would prefer an actual finish versus a DQ finish. When it comes to it, there are referees that they will just do things by the book no matter what, and I like that in AEW they kind of give their referees the power to choose. There are situations where that does come into play, but obviously each situation has different booking, and each situation has to have a story that is being told. Personally, with me, yes, sometimes they do have some weird moments that just don't make sense, and there are stuff that, yeah, they should have been disqualified, they should have been that, but end of the day, it didn't turn out that way, and that's okay. Personally, that genuinely is okay. I don't mind one bit that it turns out that way, because it's somebody getting an opportunity and being in the business that they want to be in. So just give these guys a little bit more grace. I personally think that, we just got to understand that these are the guys putting their lives on the line for us. We can be a little bit more understanding. Jamie and Tekla go back and forth a lot. Tekla reminds me a lot of WCW Jericho, which is how she ends up, where she walks around the ring and how she acts and just the way she seems to be very full of herself. We end up seeing Tekla get the win, however, with a roll-up, and she ends up grabbing the rope. We even see Alex Windsor coming down to argue the fact that she had a hold of the rope, and we do get a moment where Jamie Hayter just goes hollering at Tekla, calling her a motherfucker and stuff of that nature. So clearly this feud is not done, especially with the way that Jamie got rolled up. I would love to see at All In Jamie win that title. I would love to see that happen. I would like to see her get that back because she never should have lost it. Obviously, injury is one hell of a thing, but when it comes down to it, you always want to see people get their dues, and I like Jamie Hayter. Hayter hits hard is awesome. Moving on from that, we have Mox and Ospreay. Wow. Wow. Ospreay just off the spot just hits a hidden blade, and then a second one. He had so many hidden blades in this match that they came out of nowhere that I'm like, what the hell? This is going to be one of those matches where I would give you guys a rundown, and I have pictures and videos, stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you guys just need to go watch this match. They did very well. Mox does not do his normal, where he gets, his busted open. I think at one point in time, he does get a busted lip, because I think there was a couple of times where Ospreay does make actual contact. At the end of the day, though, Mox is able to get the win here because of a few moments. There's stingers and other stuff that comes up. He does get the upper hand because of some tomfoolery. But at the end of the day, though, I think you guys need to go watch this match because Ospreay is cooking. Ospreay came back from an injury, and he is on the move, guys. He is doing really well, and I really want to see what happens with Ospreay because at the end of the day, maybe at the end of the year, end of next year, I'd love to see him be AEW World Champion, or at the end of the day, or something at that point. Like, he's a phenomenal athlete, and I can say that because he aspired to be like AJ Styles, and he hits a Styles Clash in this match. But at the end of the day, Will Ospreay is fantastic. I like Mox too. Mox is doing really well. People have been panning him for a long time. They say that he's a joke, and they say all these other things about Mox. But personally, I like the fact that he is willing to do this job. He is not your typical wrestler where he becomes a champion and then he disappears for so long. He ends up losing his championship, and he's back in the ring the following night doing something else. So you got to give Mox credit, personally. I do. I give him a lot of credit. After the Mox and Ospreay match, we have the trios match, which is going to be Roddy Strong, Orange Cassidy, and a mystery partner versus the Dogs for the trios titles, which they literally just won at Collision the night before. And of course, people are not going to like this, but we have a sitcom opening where Orange Cassidy is asleep on a couch. Roddy comes in hollering at him, asking him to get ready because that person that they are expecting is going to be there. And I can confirm I called it because they are in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is the hometown Kyle O'Reilly. So, of course, it's Kyle O'Reilly that's going to join Roddy and Orange Cassidy to come out and challenge the Dogs for the trios titles. It is the conglomeration for the Dogs for the trios titles. This match goes crazy. It clearly got changed up on the fly, though, because at one point in time, Gabe Kidd gets injured and he ends up walking off. Like, he just completely disappears from the match. You can see him. There's a point where he's hollering at the camera and you can see him holding his arm. And then he's just gone. Connors and Finlay end up having to finish this match without him, and because of Gabe Kidd just being gone, obviously things had to go up on the fly, and we do see the conglomeration become the new trios champion. So we have had 3 different trios champions in 72 hours. On Saturday morning, we had Kevin Knight, Mike Bailey, and Mystico. Sunday morning, we had the Dogs, and now Monday morning, we have the conglomeration. So I kind of like what they're doing with the trios titles. I hope that they keep hotshotting these around. I just hope that it doesn't become a joke. I want it to be something where like they can hotshot them around a little bit and just not necessarily build the prestige of the belt, but just remind people that it's there. A lot of people forget AEW has trio titles. Hell, I forget that they have trios titles. Personally, I didn't understand when they brought in the international title, the continental title, the trios titles when we had an opportunity for women's tag belts. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been so long where, like, they bring all these extra belts in, except for the belts that people are actually asking for. I personally am enjoying the fact that AEW has the women's championship and the TBS championship, and now that they have the tag team championship, there is more for the women to actually be able to do and show them that they can show people they can properly wrestle. But why did it take so long? And why are we acting like we are about them? So this is what I'm saying. They had the trios match go on before the main event. So that's another thing they're trying to build up. Plus, they're trying to give the prestige to the Dogs. Unfortunate for Gabe Kidd to be injured like he was because they literally just got started properly. Obviously, people know Gabe Kidd in AEW because of the stuff that he's done with the Death Riders. But when you have him actually working with David Finlay and Clark Connors as the Dogs or as the War Dogs when they were in New Japan, they are just a totally different beast. They are a different animal altogether, so it sucks to see him get injured. And as I always say, if people get injured, I don't like when people get injured, whether I like them or not. I hope that they have a speedy recovery so they can get back to work and they can get back to making the money that they deserve to make. We are moving on, though. We have the main event. It is the wrestling god, Kenny Omega, versus the Devil, MJF, the AEW World Champion. Wow. There's a few times here where I personally thought in the pacing, I'm a Kenny Omega fan, guys. I'm telling you right now, I'm a Kenny Omega fan, but you can tell that as far as his conditioning goes, he's not in the condition that he used to be in. You can tell a couple of times he was blown up. But this match still went really hard. It's not a DQ match, but we do see a table get involved, a la the old school Kenny from back in his cleaner days. I want to admit the fact that Kenny Omega kind of blurred a few lines in this match because a lot of people were expecting him to be the face here, but it's Kenny Omega. He kind of blurs lines all the time when it comes to his ring work. He kind of does the same ring work whether he's a face or a heel. So personally, seeing him do whatever he did in this match, he did really well. I honestly went into this match expecting Kenny to win. I'm not going to lie, I did. I went into this match watching it expecting Kenny to win this match, but because of me saying that, I want to admit, you probably have figured out by that premise that Kenny Omega does not win this match. He is able to get the upper hand on a lot, I will admit. There's a couple of times where we see the referee get involved. We actually do see Bryce go down. Before the match even starts, Bryce grabs the ring from MJF. So that was pretty cool to see that, Bryce is being smart, but we end up seeing Bryce get taken out and MJF go and grab the ring, and he uses the ring and ends up using that to his advantage and gets the win. I loved this show. I did. I actually, to be honest with you, there was 2 pay-per-views that happened this weekend that I watched, and I liked them both. I am always a fan of AEW pay-per-views. There's very few times where I've watched an AEW pay-per-view and I have thought, oh my god, that just did not work. That didn't hit. That didn't go where they thought it was going to go. They almost always knock it out of the park with pay-per-views. I think the only time I ever watched a pay-per-view from AEW that made me go, what the fuck was that? Was back during COVID, during the Exploding Deathmatch thing. But we're 5 years removed from that at this point. And I just think that AEW has finally started to kind of find their path. They have found the track that they want to be on, and they're trying to stay in that. I understand that they kind of seemed a little bit goofy, and they were all over the place and whatnot at one point, but that's kind of the nature of the business. You're trying to start something new. You're trying to do something different. Not everything is going to be original. Not everything is even going to be different. You're going to do some similar things, especially in professional wrestling, because there's only so much that you can do. You can go outside the box and do something new, like putting the title inside of a briefcase and acting like you're the king of the world, but people are going to hate that. You can go out of the way and you can put a mask on a very well-known person and have them duel with somebody else who's a very well-known person with that mask, and people are going to hate that too. But then there's also the people that like it. That's professional wrestling. That's literally it. Professional wrestling is for everyone. There's a little bit of something for everyone. And that's the whole point to professional wrestling. And that's why you just got to enjoy it. That's my take. As I'm sure you guys are going to see, this is the only thing that's probably going to come out today because we did not record a podcast last night because myself and Sponge were watching Dynasty and Paul is taking the weekend off. So, probably not going to be a podcast this week, but if we end up recording one, make sure you keep an eye on here and turn your notifications on because it does help. Again, I am Jimmy King with WrestleLaunch, and this has been your AEW pay-per-view review for Dynasty that aired on the 12th of April, 2026. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Get WrestleLaunch out there because we're trying to make sure you have a voice for people that like wrestling besides just what the mainstream enjoys. I am Jimmy King again. I'm getting out of here. Remember, I got 4 simple rules when it comes to this. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and above all else, just fucking enjoy professional wrestling. You guys have a great day.